discovering the magic of Christmas in a new culture. As the holiday season approached, John felt a sense of excitement mixed with apprehension. It was his first Christmas in an English-speaking country, and he was eager to experience the holiday traditions and celebrations that he had only seen in movies and on TV. As he walked down the streets, he was amazed to see the twinkling lights and colorful ornaments adorning the trees and buildings. The shops were filled with Christmas merchandise, and carolers could be heard singing festive tunes on every corner. John had never experienced anything like this before. He decided to learn more about the holiday traditions of the country he was in. He discovered that Christmas was celebrated on December 25th, and it was a time for families and friends to come together and share in the holiday spirit. John learned that the traditions varied from country to country, and he was eager to experience them all. He visited the local library and picked up books about the history of Christmas and its various traditions. He was fascinated to learn about the origins of the holiday, including the story of the Nativity and the origins of Christmas trees and decorations. He was also intrigued by the different ways the holiday was celebrated around the world, including the Feast of the Seven Fishes in Italy and the Japanese tradition of eating fried chicken. As John continued to learn about English-speaking holiday traditions, he felt more confident about participating in the festivities. He was eager to see how the holiday would be celebrated in this new place and to join in the merriment of the season. With newfound knowledge of English-speaking holiday traditions, John was excited to begin preparing for Christmas. He visited the local shops and markets to pick up decorations and gifts, and he spent hours online researching traditional holiday recipes. One of the traditions that John found particularly intriguing was the concept of stockings. He had never heard of this before, but he learned that it was customary to hang stockings by the fireplace on Christmas Eve, and that they would be filled with small gifts and treats by Santa Claus. John decided to embrace this tradition, and he spent an afternoon searching for the perfect stockings. He finally found a set that he liked, and he brought them home to hang by the fireplace. Next, John turned his attention to gift-giving. He wanted to find gifts that were meaningful and personal, but he was also on a budget. He spent hours brainstorming ideas and searching for inspiration online, and eventually settled on a mix of handmade gifts and thoughtful trinkets that he had picked up during his travels. As Christmas approached, John also decided to bake some traditional holiday treats. He found a recipe for fruitcake, which he had heard was a staple of English-speaking holiday tables, and he spent an entire weekend baking and decorating it. In addition to the fruitcake, John also made batches of cookies and other festive treats. He carefully wrapped them in paper and tied them with ribbon, ready to be gifted to friends and family. As the days passed, John felt more and more excited for Christmas. He was fully immersed in the holiday spirit, and he couldn't wait to share in the festivities with his new friends and neighbors. Finally, Christmas Eve arrived, and John found himself surrounded by new friends and a sense of community that he had never experienced before. He dressed up in his finest clothes, and he sat down with his new companions for a festive feast of roast beef and vegetables, followed by a variety of desserts, including the fruitcake that John had spent so much time baking. After dinner, the group gathered around the fireplace, and they sang carols and told stories late into the night. John felt a sense of warmth and happiness that he had never felt before, and he knew that this would be a Christmas he would never forget. As the night wore on, John's thoughts turned to the stockings hanging by the fireplace. He had never experienced this tradition before, and he was eager to see what surprises Santa had left for him. Sure enough, when he went to check his stocking, he found it overflowing with small gifts and treats, including a few that he had been eyeing in the local shops for weeks. The next day, Christmas Day, was even more magical. John woke up to a winter wonderland outside, with fresh snow blanketing the streets and rooftops. He spent the day visiting friends and neighbors, sharing gifts and enjoying festive treats. As the day wore on, John realized that he had never experienced Christmas in this way before. He had always celebrated the holiday with his family in a familiar and predictable way. But this year was different. He had stepped out of his comfort zone and embraced a new culture, and it had brought him a sense of joy and community that he had never known before. As he sat by the fireplace that evening, sipping hot cocoa and watching the snow fall outside, John realized that he had made a home for himself in this new place. He had found a new family and a new way of celebrating the holidays, and he knew that this would be a Christmas he would cherish for years to come.